Let's have Google Cloud transcode our GoPro Max videos, because using a Windows PC would be way too simple. How hard could it be? GoPro to Linux machine, to object storage, to Linux server, to Windows server, to Linux server, to object storage, back to home. Oh, and it costs way more than you would expect. What could go wrong? Let's kick off the script and have it running on the right side of the screen. This will mount the GoPro, copy the files locally, and remove them from the SD card. If there are no errors during this process, it'll call the Cloud Sync script. Now we'll compare locally with Google Cloud Storage. Any videos that do not exist on the cloud will be uploaded for processing. Once we're done doing all that, we'll start the Linux VM in Google Cloud. The Linux server is configured to download and run a startup script from object storage. All this script does is clone and run the primary script. We use Cloud Build to maintain both the Linux and Windows startup scripts. Now we'll create, format, partition, mount, and create the skeleton folder structure of a new disk. Afterwards, we'll download all the videos from the cloud storage. Once completed, we'll unmount and disconnect that drive from this server. We'll reattach the drive to the Windows server, start the Windows server, and cross our fingers. For Windows, we have the startup script copy and run an auto login script. This auto login script ensures a specific user is able to log in without a password. This user will then run an automation script to launch and run the GoPro exporter. This is not best practice, as the password will be stored in the registry in clear text. Ideally, you'd find another way to be able to have the user run the script. 5 minutes after powering on, the PowerShell script will be started by the scheduler. We will attempt to mount and assign a drive letter to the disk created earlier. And then, hopefully, the application will be launched, the mass exporter will be opened, any items listed there will be deleted, all items from the disk will be added to the queue, and the transcoding process will be started. Unfortunately, the GoPro application does not support command line options, nor can you use key commands to fully navigate and use the application. Additionally, if you add numerous videos at once, it can cause the application to slow down and not respond to key commands or mouse clicks. This meant one must do a combination of key commands, mouse clicks, and add delays to ensure the sequence was not interrupted. It was a painful, tedious process. Hopefully, now the transcoding is underway. But since the application did not have command line or any other way, how do we know when it's done? The best idea I could come up with was to pull the GPU for utilization. So I check every 30 seconds. And if the GPU utilization is below 10% 6 times in a row, either everything crashed and burned, or it is actually done. Either way, we're done. The Windows server will now shut down. The Linux server has been waiting for Windows to shut down. Once it detects it, it will reattach the disk, remount the disk, and start the check files script. We determine a successful transcoding if the new file is within 1% of the same duration as the original. Otherwise, we consider it a failure. We upload and move the files accordingly. We archive the original file if it's successful. We move files to a failed directory if they failed. And then we delete the files from the local disk. At the end of this, we check to make sure there's no surprising files on the disk somehow. And if there is, we simply panic, send alarms, and just stop immediately so that we don't accidentally lose any data. Hopefully we did not panic, which would mean there's no surprise files left. So we'll unmount the disk, we'll detach, and we'll destroy it. We will then shut down. So how much did all this cost? In this graph, you can see the clear spikes. This is when the compute and the nvidia was running, when the scripts that I just showed were being executed. Overall, not that expensive, a few dollars to process all of your footage. Unfortunately, these spikes are when I downloaded the videos. This is roughly $1 for every 10 gigabytes. Unfortunately, that makes all of this a bit cost prohibitive. I'll still use it for archiving purposes, but I'll be very selective on what I download. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.